I want to show you how to use the lesson module. If this was your class and you are a student in this class, for each topic, you would be using a lesson module. This is what you would see. This is the lesson. These are the objectives for the lesson. Then you can open up the lesson. And you're able to go through the lesson content in this manner. So the first topic is Introduction to Computer Science. And under this topic, you have different subtopics. So the first topic is defining common terminologies in computer science. These are the notes for that. It doesn't have to be PowerPoint slide. It can be PowerPoint slide with audio. You can do that. But at the same time, you can just use PowerPoint or actually type in the notes here. As the student progresses through the lesson, the progress bar will indicate to what level they have reached. So after the first lesson here, rather subtopic, they can take a test, just a simple question to see whether they've understood this topic. So let's navigate to that. So this is the question to just see whether they mastered the definitions. So data is you can so what is going to happen is if one of the answers is incorrect here, the student will be redirected back to the same notes. But if all the answers are correct, the student will be allowed to move to the next lesson. So we have an opportunity here as instructors to drill, to make sure that they understand the content that they have just covered. So let me submit. So I reached the maximum tries. Even though I did not get it right, I hit the maximum try. So I'll just have to continue to the next lesson. So this is the next lesson, benefits and limitations of using computers. Very short. I can now move to the next, to the test and take a simple question or quiz here. Computers are as intelligent as human beings. The answer is false. Again, if the answer is correct, I move to the next lesson. If it is not correct, I go back to the previous lesson until I'm able to get it right. All the subtopics in this lesson are listed here. So with this, we are able to track the progress of the student at any given time, and even when the student goes back to the dashboard, they can see on the given topic their progress or to what extent they have covered the subtopics in that particular topic. I want to show you how we can do this. So I will change my role to my normal role, which is teacher role. You don't have to do that if you had not flipped it to student role. I will turn on editing. And at the last section of my course, I will create a topic here. So let me start by adding in a topic, which we will use to rehearse the lesson concept. So one topic. So this is topic 17. I will change it to, like the specific topic that I want to cover on this week, like introduction to computer science. I can even number it, number 1, introduction to computer science. Let's save it. So under this topic now, we can add an activity and this activity will be lesson. So I'll search lesson here. Don't have to keep scrolling through all the activities. So this is lesson. So this is our lesson, and we can give it a name like Introduction to Computer Science. We can list the objectives of this lesson. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to, you can list the objectives of this lesson here. The objectives here, make sure they are as precise as possible. I know you know how to get the objectives from your course outline. So this is the first lesson. We can do a few more things on the lesson. We make sure the progress bar is visible so that when the student goes to the dashboard, they can see the progress they have made on that specific lesson. We also will display the menus so that when the student starts the lesson, the menus are visible on the left top part of the screen. Availability. If you want this lesson to be available at a specific time, then you can do that. And this is important because we don't want all the lessons visible to the students at the beginning of the class. We can just avail a topic depending on the on time or the specific week into the semester. Flow control. You can leave this as is. Grading, we don't want to grade students on this. So because we are not grading, they need to have the ability to practice on that lesson, retake the quiz as many times, retake the quiz or any question that is associated with this. All the other settings can remain as they are. Lastly, this setting here. At what point will the lesson be marked as complete? We need to specify the criteria here. So click on this and change this to show activity as complete when conditions are met. And we are interested in two conditions. Number one is a student must view the activity to complete it. They must view it. Number two is they must not only view but reach the last page of the activity. And you can add a third one. At least they should spend like 10 minutes on this particular lesson for it to be marked as complete. But you can stick to the first to the two conditions, this one and this one. After that, display, save and display. So here we have our lesson and we have our lesson objectives. So the next thing is to add content to this course. So the content can either be a question or, notes. So for now, let's start with notes. And for us to add in notes, we will use the add content page. So I'll select that, add content page. So maybe introduction to computer. The first subtopic under this lesson could be definition of terms, depending on your class. That's the subtopic. On the content, you can get your notes and paste them here. That's one of the options that you have. Just copy, paste here, or get your PowerPoint. You can go to your PowerPoint, and on the PowerPoint, for example, if this is the slide that has the content for that particular subtopic, I'll click on it and then use the snipping tool. Use the snipping tool to get this screenshot. Get this screenshot. Capture that. Then save it on the desktop. Maybe I'll save it as you know, introduction or any other name you give to it. And close it. Now go to your notes, to your lesson here, then upload so that you look for that particular picture, because we are not able to upload PowerPoint, then we have to break it down into slides. So I'll click on that, upload this. Either provide a description of the image or just select this to show that the image is for decoration purposes. You don't need to type description here. Then save it, and you can see that comes in here. So supposing this particular subtopic has more slides, you can do the same thing. Just put the cursor here at the end, enter, so that you create the space for the new slide. Repeat the process until you are done with all the slides for this subtopic. The other way to add in your content is by adding a video. And one of the ways you can get the video done is go to PowerPoint, play the PowerPoint as you record yourself teaching. You know, on slide 1 you teach, slide number 2 you teach, you're recording all that. PowerPoint has the tools to allow you to do that. Then once you're done, click on this icon to get that video and upload it here so that it becomes your content. That is the best way to actually go about this, because your students are able to not only follow the notes, but they can hear your voice as you explain. Now, we are done with the first page. We are done with the first page of the content, but there is just one more thing. What happens when the student is done with this particular subtopic? Where do you want them to move to? So supposing you want them to move to some simple text, you can call it test 1. Test 1. This is where we will put in the page that has test 1, but we don't have the page yet. So just write test 1 here and leave it, just save it. So our plan is when the student is done looking or studying topic 1, subtopic 1, they can take a simple question just so that we know they've understood that. So let's create the page for that question. So I'll go here and say add a question. Add a question. Now, what type of question do you want them to answer? Could be multiple choice, essay. If you choose essay, you will be the one to mark that. All the other types can be auto-marked. So let's go for a true or false answer. So let's give this page a name too. So I'll call it test 1. I'll just put in a question here to check whether the students have understood what I covered under the first subtopic. The first subtopic was definition of terms, so maybe you can come up with a true or false question. Let me type in a question here. I will just use a simple question. Computers are as intelligent as humans. So the correct answer is false. They are not. Wrong answer is true. Hope you can follow that. So if the student answers false or selects false, they earn 1 mark. And if you have anything to tell them, you can write it here. Congratulations. What if they get it wrong? Response incorrect, or you can tell them refer to the notes in subtopic 1. So it's not just what we tell them or the score that they get. There's one more. There's the one more thing that we can do. We can redirect them to different places based on whether they get it right or wrong. So look at this. If the student gets it right, we want them to proceed to the next subtopic. So we leave this as is. But if they get it wrong, we want them to go back to the content page where that particular question was covered. And in our case, the page is a definition of terms. So I select that. Since we don't have the next topic, we can leave this as is. So save page. So now we have a content page and a question page. Now, back to our first page here. This page has the subtopic definition of terms. It's a content page, but when the student is done reading this, they need to come to the test. So we now need to link these two pages. So look at what I'm going to do. I will go to the settings icon. Anytime you see the gear icon in computers, it just means settings. So I'll just go to that icon. Look at my content page again. The name, the subtitle is there, the subtopic rather, the content is there, and we said after this they need to jump to, you specify the page here, test 1. This test here, this will be shown as a button that this student will click once they're done covering this topic. Once they click this topic, then it takes them to this. We can save now and preview the lesson. But before we preview, we can look at what we've done. We have created a lesson, called it lesson 1 or Introduction to Computer Science. Under Introduction to Computer Science, we have a number of topics. The first one is definition of terms. And then we can create more subtopics. But in our course design, we want, when a student is done with the first subtopic, before they move to the next one, we want them to at least just answer a simple question to make sure that they have understood what they covered in the subtopic. So we have the subtopic, and we have the question page, and we have also linked the first subtopic so that it points to the test page, as you have shown. I mean, you have seen me do. So let's preview this. I'll go to the preview here. So this is now what the student would see. I'm viewing as a lecturer. I can change my rights here to student role so that we're able to see exactly what the student will see. So this is what they will see. The first lesson, Introduction to Computer Science. The objectives for this course listed here. For this lesson listed here. The first subtopic, definition of terms. Then here is the content, like 10 slides or a video. Then after that, they can now click on test. After they cover this, they can click on test so that they take this question. Look at the progress bar. Because we have only 2 parts, we have only one subtopic and then the question, it's already at 50. If we get this right, then this lesson is completed. So computers, sorry, this should have been computers. Computers are as intelligent as humans. This is false, is the correct answer. So this is where adaptive learning comes in. Adaptive is the computer will redirect this learner to different portions depending on whether they get this question right or wrong. If they get it wrong, they go back to the same topic. If they get it right, they proceed to the next topic. Of course, because this is not an exam, then by default, if the learner cannot get it right after a number of times, they'll just be allowed to move to the next topic. So let's submit our answer. we got it right. The message, congratulations. And now we can continue to the next lesson if there was another lesson. But since there is no other lesson, that's the end. If we go back to that question and your answer is incorrect, when you submit, then you will be redirected back to lesson 1 so that you cover that and go back to the question. So this avails the learner an opportunity to make sure that they have mastered the content before they can move to the next topic. All the subtopics in your lesson will be listed here. This is how to use the lesson module in Moodle. Thank you.